Okay guys, today we're taking you around Montenegro as we're walking around because we wanted to tell you some of the things that might surprise you about Kotor, Montenegro. So we hope you enjoy. Come along with us for the day.
Okay folks, this is a really busy cruise port. On average, 500 cruise ships pull in per year. Up to 10,000 cruise passengers clogging the streets of Old Town. Great for the economy. However, just be prepared. You know, you're going to run into a lot of people, a lot of tour groups, just a lot of congestion all around. Okay, you can see there's 2 cruise ships docked out in the bay there, and we're the beginning of November. And each of those ships, I think, have about 3,000 passengers on each one. When we are deciding if we're going into Old Town or not, we check the cruise schedule to see how many cruise ships are coming in. And if there's only 1, maybe 2, not so bad. But days that there are 4 or 5, we just, we don't even go near there.
Okay, so another thing that you need to know if you're coming to Montenegro is there is a tourist tax. So if you're staying in a hotel, I think if you're coming in on a cruise, that's probably going to be having been included in your price. But if you're staying in an Airbnb like we were, or say you're just drove in and you're coming to visit a friend or family who already has an Airbnb, it is up to you to go and pay the tourist tax. So it is €1 per day per person. You have to pay it here in the Old Town. So if you go into the Old Town and you want to ask before you enter the Sea Gate, there's a tourist information booth. They can show you exactly the way, but it's very easy to find. You go through that Sea Gate, you stay to the left, and if you look on the ground, you actually see they've helped you out with some little blue arrows. You go right past the post office and it's there on the right. They only take cash, so you do have to pay in cash, and it is your responsibility. So what I understand is if you are trying to leave the country, they might check that you did pay this tourist tax, and if you didn't pay it, I have heard everywhere from 150 to a €250 fine. So do your part. If you're coming, make sure your tourist tax is paid.
Okay, so taxis we think are somewhat expensive. So we took our first taxi from the Tivat airport to our Airbnb. So the posted rate from the airport to Old Town is €45. We were 3 kilometers past Old Town, so that brought it up to I think about €65 to really essentially get 8 kilometers. So that does seem expensive. However, when we were in the tunnel, there's a tunnel that goes through the mountain that separates Kotor and Tivat. The tunnel was extremely busy, so our taxi driver offered us a solution where he can turn around in the tunnel and go back, up in the mountain with a bunch of switchbacks and all that kind of stuff. But that added an extra, I think, €25. But we saved over half an hour because when it's really busy here, there's really only one way to get in, and it just gets really, really congested. So our opinion is taxis are not that cheap.
Okay, the other thing that might surprise you about Montenegro, English is actually widely spoken. We've had no issues.
None.
Most of the menus, a lot of signage, and of course any tourist things like the boat tour signs, at the cable car, you're gonna find English on all of that. If you are in the grocery store and you need to Google Translate,
yeah, so in Google Translate, Montenegrin is not a language. However, Croatian is extremely close, and if you set your camera app to that in Google Translate, it will give you pretty close to what you're looking for.
Yeah, we found if you set it to detect language, Serbian, Croatian, it's all very similar, and that's what the people of Montenegro also told us is the dialects are slightly different, but they are very similar languages. Do not worry if you're coming here, the language barrier is minimal. Certainly, especially when you're dealing in the tourist areas with your servers. And we learned that they actually learn it as a second language here in school. So,
but even outside of Old Town, going to convenience stores or bakeries and all that kind of stuff, everyone speaks English, and there's been zero issues that we've had.
Yeah, cashiers at the grocery store, really awesome English. So yeah. We've asked them for help to find things and had no issues. So, I mean, we always like to learn how to say our, hello and thank you. So ciao goes a long way here for hello and goodbye is a casual one. So yeah, definitely learn a few words, but don't be afraid because it's really not a barrier here at all.
For sure. Hello.
I'm Lily.
How are you?
Good, you?
Very good.
You may be interested to going a boat tour.
We've already done the boat tour.
Oh, nice.
Okay, the only people that really give you attention when you're walking around are the people that are trying to sell boat tours, but not in a bad way. They just ask you if you want a boat tour and you politely say no, and they say no problem, thank you, and have a good day kind of thing. Unlike other countries we've been to where people are trying to sell tours, they're trying to get you to come into their restaurants, and it sometimes seems a little aggressive. That doesn't happen here. And just speaking of boat tours, if you are wondering what a boat tour is all about, we'll put a link somewhere up here to our video that we did when we went on a boat tour. We were pleasantly surprised that in such a tourist destination that we didn't have that pressure from salespeople that we sometimes do in other countries.
Okay, so another thing that might surprise you about Montenegro, but maybe not so much if you've traveled in other parts of Europe, smoking is alive and well, widely accepted, and still happens on outdoor patios and cafes right around everybody else while they're eating or enjoying their beverages. So there's no smoking sections. There are very few restaurants. We actually came across one. La Cathédrale in town is the only restaurant where they actually make people go sort of on the outskirts. There's one table where they allow them to smoke. But other than that, if smoking really bothers you, you might not enjoy that sort of smoking cafe culture. To be honest, it hasn't been terrible. It is low season, however, but yeah, if that's something that really irritates you, you might be a little bit bothered by that.
And Janet, something else that you might want to know about Kotor, there's no McDonald's. There's no McDonald's in Montenegro.
What's going on?
Hard to believe, but I did look it up, and there's 96 countries in the world that do not have a McDonald's, and Montenegro is one of them. From what I heard, there is a Burger King in the capital city of Montenegro, but really no North American fast food brands are around. And you know what? It is refreshing. You can see behind us a bunch of cafe bars, great local restaurants. And if you're coming to Europe, that's where you want to go.
Agreed. It's actually really nice not to see it in old town and these historic buildings like Subway and KFC and these, North American brands that are taking up prime real estate. It is actually really refreshing. And yeah, when we looked it up, they just don't exist.
Nope.
So that's something, if you need your Big Mac fix or whatever you might be addicted to, you're not going to find it here in Montenegro.
Nope.
Okay, so you might be surprised to find out that as beautiful as Kotor is, and as beautiful as this Mediterranean Sea looks behind me, it is not really a beach town. There are some beaches, but they're very stony, they're very small, and I can only imagine, we are right now at the beginning of November, and I can imagine what this looks like in the middle of the summer. We've been told that even up on the promenade, people bring their towels, lay out, and that turns into the beach as well. So there's these little pockets of beaches. So if you are looking for that beach destination, our recommendation would be to hit up Budva, which is not far from here. Beautiful like Kotor, but definitely more your beach destination. Big beaches, lots of sunbeds, and even some sandy beaches over there. But Kotor is not your place.
Something else you should know about Montenegro is that there are no free public bathrooms. So if you want to use a bathroom, it's going to cost you €1, or you're going to have to pop into a cafe, bar, or restaurant and order something and then use their facilities. Or you can maybe just do what Jan does.
Just kidding.
Just kidding.
I didn't really
don't do that. So just make sure you have some cash on hand, have your euros, and pay if you need to relieve yourself.
Okay guys, the 10th thing that really may surprise you about Kotor, Montenegro, and maybe Montenegro in general is just how it will steal your heart. How much you will fall in love with this place. It might seem obvious, but it's more than just the scenery. It's the people, the cats.
It's everything. It's the weather, it's the lifestyle, it's the views, it's
That
everything.
European Mediterranean feeling and the architecture and the history that's here. There's just so much depth. We're gonna miss it. I mean, we're excited to move on, but that it just might surprise you really how much you really love this place. It surprised us.
So if it's on your bucket list, do it. If it's not on your list, put it on your list because it's definitely worthwhile.
But definitely, as we always do, highly recommend come in the off season. Don't come in July and August. All the locals say it is crazy busy. All the tours are insane. So hit it in the off season and love it like we have.
Yeah, so we hope you enjoyed our video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you haven't. You can also follow us on our other platforms, Mitch and Jan, Instagram and Facebook. We'd love for you to follow along.
All right.
All right.
For now, cheers.
Cheers.